What's up, coffee campers? I'm Jason and you're watching All Terrain Coffee and Camping. Today I'm starting a new series about state park campgrounds and doing quick little tours on them. You know, one thing I'm noticing when I go through and I'm trying to pick out where I'm going to go, what type of trip that I want, you know, I really do enjoy visiting state parks. Here in North Carolina, we've got a ton of them. I've stayed at several of them. I've enjoyed them. But when I'm looking, a lot of times I'll have questions, or even though a lot of the sites will have some pictures, or maybe Google Maps will show people that'll, you know, show some pictures. I always thought it'd be nice to have a little bit of a video or be able to see a little bit more, right? So that's what I wanted to accomplish with these videos. So this is episode 1. And my ask for you as the viewer, if you have questions that I don't cover, please let me know. Please put it in the comments. I might even be able to answer that question, but it helps me to figure out what I need to add to these videos as I visit more state parks. So my plans for the video right now today is I want to get as much information that I can in without turning this into a like full feature length movie, right? So we'll see how it goes. Right now I plan on showing you where I stayed at. I plan on showing you a couple other sites that have already been vacated. I'm going to show you the bathhouse area, but not go inside the bathhouse for obvious privacy reasons. And then I also want to show handicap accessibility that's here at the state park. I'm not an expert when it comes to that, so I'm not going to really try to talk and link to it. My plan is to show what I see as far as handicap accessibility. And then any questions that you have, I highly recommend that you contact the state park and ask them so they can, you know, get you in contact with someone that can better answer your questions. So anyway, let's take a look where I stayed at during this trip. I stayed in a cabin. So several of the state parks in North Carolina do have cabins that you can stay in. One thing I've noticed in the couple I've stayed in, or the few I've stayed in, is there's a lot of similarities. There's a lot of differences in some of the sites. And that's why I wanted to highlight that in these videos for those who are looking for, you know, a cabin, not looking for a tent, or if you're looking to escape the elements. If you're going in extreme cold or going in extreme heat, this is a great option. This is also really good for those families looking to break into camping, you know, for the beginner that's, you know, wanting to kind of get outside but doesn't want to invest a lot of money into like a tent and everything else that's needed, or not sure if they're even going to like being in a state park. This is a great option. So these cabins right now at the filming of this video is $55 a night. Here at the Carolina Beach State Park, so sorry, I didn't mention this is the Carolina Beach State Park that I'm at. There is a 2-night minimum for these cabins. So you can check that. Each state park, I've noticed, they've got different rules when it comes to their cabins, or even just to the campgrounds in general. A lot of them are very similar, but I recommend make sure to check the rules for each state park on their website and when you're reserving. So one thing I do want to point out is, let's look at the lock feature here. So this is a standard key lock. Okay, they give you, well, I'm only one person, they gave me one key, and it's just tagged here what cabin you're in and what they called it, the site number. Inside the cabin is the first room, or the main room, and you'll see we're greeted with a, I believe this is a queen size bed. So the mattress itself, it's like a memory foam-ish type mattress that's got a vinyl coating on it. You'll need to supply your own linens. There are electrical outlets. There's enough space on either side of the bed. It's about an equal amount. One side has a little bit more than the other. There on this side of the room, there's 3 outlets. There's one here, there's one by the headboard that you probably can't see. I can barely see it. And then one here under that window. They also have a little reminder of some of the cabin rules. They even have a little picture here of an event that happened here at the state park a while back. So they do supply these cabins with a broom and a dustpan. There's also a fire extinguisher and a trash can that came with a couple of small trash bags. I always bring my own trash bags. I like using this one big heavy duty trash bag when I come. So I typically end up not using their trash cans. This unit has one heating and air conditioning unit. This is one similar to what you would find in a lot of hotel rooms. So it's a little bit more than a simple window unit. It puts out pretty good. I stayed pretty comfortable. This weekend, the weather, for being January, and this is being filmed January of 2023. For being January, it's been like 67 to 70 degrees. It's been really nice. So anyway, this, between going from the hot and cool, depending on what I needed, it did a great job. At nighttime, it really regulated this room very well. I never got too cold. When you first walk in, I wanted you to see this the way I saw it. They had put the benches up top on the little makeshift tables they have here. And that sounds bad. These are actually nice little shelving tables. I really like them. They're great for prep work. I even use the benches not for sitting. I use them for placing some of my gear on, or, you know, actually this one, I had placed this one over here and used it to be able to put my chargers and stuff on. I use it like a nightstand. So let's go into the next room, which is equipped with 4, I believe these are twin size bunk beds. So you've got 2 on either side. There is a door that shuts. There's also electrical outlets in here. So you have one over here by this set. You've got one under this desk right here. And I don't see one on this side of the room. I'm not saying there's not, but it's not visible. But there's 2 right here under this first window. So there's still plenty of electrical outlets here. There's also coat hangers here. And even in the first room, there's coat hangers where they've got the dustpan. This room comes with another bench and actually a slightly bigger table. Now, one thing to point out about this room at Carolina Beach State Park is there's no additional heating or air in this room. So if you are intending to shut this door, this room is not going to get any of the benefits from that. However, these cabins are well insulated. If you're coming as a family or coming family and friends, you know, I do recommend looking into some type of making sure that whoever's staying in this room is able to fight against whatever elements, you know, whatever the heating or air could be for that weekend during your stay. So now let's go check the outside out. So each cabin is equipped with a pair of Aeronautic, see if I said that right, chairs with this little table here in the middle of them, with armrests, stuff for your drinks and whatnot. So over here we've got a long picnic table. So this is great. It's got plenty of room for any gear that you might need while you're cooking. It's got plenty of room. These cabins are made for up to 6 people. If you're going to have more than 6 people, you need to speak with a state park to understand what your options are. But they say only 6 people are allowed to the cabins. That's what they're rated for. This picnic table will more than accommodate 6 people, in my opinion. You know, of course, depending on the size of the people. It comes with a grill, and I've not seen this at the other state parks that I've stayed at the cabin locations, where you've got both a grill and a fire ring that has a grill and grate. So I think that's pretty cool, because this does give you an option to be able to cook a bit easier without having to bend over. Probably a little bit better for beginners. Makes it easier if you wanted to cook with charcoal, if you're not used to cooking with fire or whatnot. This will make it a little bit easier. You do have this post here that a lot of times it's meant for stuff like hanging lanterns. You know, you can put your trash bag up here. A lot of times I'll bring a dungaree bag with me for hanging water, and I'll usually hang water up here at the top for being able to easily clean my hands while I'm cooking and working outdoors. So take a look here at the fire ring. So these are actually pretty nice fire rings that they have, and I've seen these at all the state parks that I've stayed at. You know, here they've got a nice little concrete spot. They do this to help prevent the spread of fire. The cool thing about this too is the bricks that your fire's on, they actually get hot. So they actually help provide extra heat. They'll help with cooking your food. So there is some benefit to it as well. These grates, I mean, they're not necessarily the best, but I've always had no problems cooking on those type of grates. All right, so this is the cabin I'm staying in. The name of this particular cabin is called Longleaf Cabin, and it's site number 39. Now what I want to do is we're going to take a little walk right across the street here. There's a cabin with handicap accessibility features, or accessible features, and I just want to point those features out really quick. So this cabin is site number 42, and the name of it is the Centennial Cabin. Now this is a split driveway. It does have two different ways to come in and out of it, which might be nice if you're working with a special vehicle. It might make it easier to kind of turn around to back in. You'll have to be the judge of that. Okay, so the first feature that I'm going to point out is when you come up, once you get here, you're dealing with full concrete, where if you notice at my site, everything is gravel and dirt. When we come up here, if you'll notice this fire ring, the difference between this one and the one at my site is how much taller this fire ring is. Inside though, they have raised, it looks like bricks that have raised up, and this is actually really nice compared to one I've seen at another state park where they didn't have this raised feature. And what it created with not having the raised brick inside was you end up having your firewood really down low, and it made it a bit harder to cook on that particular grill grate. So you'll see here the grate is a little bit more similar to the type of grill you'll have at home. Instead of the little mesh grate, this is, you know, your actual grill bars. They also still have the higher top grill here, just like at the other site, so you still have that option as well. You know, you do have a long table, but one thing you'll notice, you can pull a wheelchair up to it, right? So like I said, there's some nicer features. I don't have access to this cabin. I don't know if the cabin itself is any different than the others. So I'm just going to kind of give you a nice little view here. So no one is staying at this cabin, so I'm not creeping on anyone. So hopefully that little tour of the accessible cabin helps someone. If you're watching this and there's a feature that you're curious about, or you know, something you're like, hey, you know, I saw you show that, but maybe what I said about it could have been inaccurate, you know, feel free to let me know. I'm always willing to learn things. But if you have any extensive questions when it comes to those type of features, please reach out to the state park. I'm not an expert. Now, something else I want to talk about are the bathhouses. So we're back at my cabin here, and when you're facing away from my cabin, you'll see the street goes down this way to the right, and then also to the left. To the right is a second loop, which when I came here, this second loop is actually closed off right now. Probably with it being the off season, they don't have enough people coming to have to worry about managing two different loop sites. There is a bathhouse down there. I've not gone down there. I've respected the do not enter sign. I don't know how much closer it may or may not be, but honestly it's probably further away than the one that we're about to go to now, just because I'm at the entrance of the other loop where my cabin is at. Excuse me. So we're going to take a short little walk so you can kind of see what you'll deal with when it comes to using the bathhouse. Now I'm just going at a normal pace, which is a little bit of a, it might be faster, more faster than some, probably not as fast as others. This is just kind of my normal pace. As we walk down there, I'll point out a couple of sites that are also vacant. These are your normal tent sites. So this is site number 17. So you'll see you got the lantern pole there, you got picnic tables, you got your campfire grate. Right offhand, unless it's hidden somewhere, I do not see the higher top grills at the normal tent sites. Now this is site 16 over here. So you'll see this doesn't have as long of a driveway as 17 does, but you still have the similar features. That's one thing that I did notice about the sites here, is that these sites, a lot of them are very different. So what you might see, or what you're trying to figure out if you come one time, if you don't like something about the site that you picked, you know, if you plan on coming back, maybe kind of keep an eye out on the different sites and see if there's one that might have better features. Or if you really like that site, just make sure to make a mental note of where you stayed at so you can try to get that one again. One thing I do like, they do have the speed limit posted here. So that way when you're going through, there's at least reminders for some people who like to fly through little areas like this. There's a reminder of, you know, hey, there's people walking, watch your speed. Now, one thing I want to point out here at site number 20, right as you enter the site, there's also a trailhead. Okay, so I wanted to show this for two reasons. I wanted to show it like, hey, there's a trail that starts here. Okay, this trail will lead you to the picnic area and also to the Snows Cut Trail. But I wanted to point out, if you stay at site 20, there's potential, especially during the more popular times of the year, that you're going to have people crossing right here at the front constantly. Now, at least the site is kind of back off a little bit, but if you're looking to kind of avoid people having less noise, this may or may not be the site for you. So I just wanted to point that out. Okay, so one thing that I've noticed about the bathhouse here that I wanted to point out, as opposed to some of the other state parks I've stayed at, there's no driveway, there's no parking area here at the bathhouse. So just keep that in mind when you're planning your trip. And there's even a sign posted here that says vehicles prohibited. So the bathhouse is in between campsites 23 and 25 on the first loop. This is the loop when you first enter the park. So I also want to point out, especially if you're coming here at nighttime, make sure to bring lighting, because there are some routes here you have to pay attention to. Luckily, I happened to see it when I first came this way, so I've been very conscious to make sure I don't trip. Now, I did time this walk without doing, you know, stopping and showing other sites. And the walk itself takes about 3 to 4 minutes at my pace. You probably could do it faster. It might take you a little bit longer. Just wanted to point that out. So here's the bathhouse. Now, coming up that trail, what you're going to notice, This is one thing I wish that they would change. It's not a huge deal once you know what side to go to, but you don't know what side is male or female. So when you first walk up, that's the women's, that's the men's. Now we're going to take a look at the side over here, and I just want to point out there is a trail on either side of this building that will go to some of the other various campsite locations. You can tell this one's a little bit not overgrown, but there's some tighter spots here. And I wanted to point this one out because this one, I'm assuming, is meant to be more for your handicap accessibility. So you'll see there is a concrete path, and there's actually no one staying at the site. So we're going to walk up to the site real quick and take a look at that as well. So this particular site, this is not a cabin. Okay, this is cool. So this is more of a tent site. So you have your raised fire pit here, just like the other one. Right, the inside is bricked again, just like the other one. You've got your table with a spot here for your wheelchair to pull up to. You've also got a pretty nice sized tent pad area. So this is where you can set up your tent, your tarp, or whatever you want to set up at here. But everywhere else, you've got nice concrete. And even in this area, it's not your same type of rock gravel that you have anywhere else. So this is more like a dirt gravel. It's more fine. So I imagine it's much easier for a wheelchair or whatnot to come through. Something else I wanted to point out is here we've got another path, which actually comes right over here to handicap parking as well. So this is where, if you're here staying at the park, you can pull up, you can park here to be able to get access to the bathhouse if you've got a wheelchair. So I just wanted to point that out real quick. Okay, so I want to give you all a quick update. I just came down to the marina store to turn my keys in. When I did the little tour over by the bathhouse and I went down the one paved area to the handicap accessible site, which is site number 37. I didn't look or mention that earlier, but that's site 37. I noticed that one of the parking spots there was not tagged as handicapped. So before I say anything in the video, I did want to ask and check with them. And they did confirm you can use that to access the bathhouse. Okay, so that's not a part of an actual, of just one of the sites. It's there so you can get to the bathhouse easier. So that way, if you're located at one of the cabins, you want to go down there, you don't want to haul all your shower gear if you wanted to go take a shower, or if you just really need to go to the bathroom really bad, you can hop in your car and run down and drive down there and park in that spot. So that's over by site number 37. All right. Now, I'm not going to go into the bathhouse, and I can only speak to my experience on the men's side of the bathhouse. Inside, there are 2 stalls and then also 2 urinals. One of the stalls is oversized, so that way, you know, for those that have wheelchairs or whatnot, you can get in there. There are 2 sinks, and the bathrooms are on this side and the showers are on this side. There are 2 sinks over here with mirrors and everything. There, for the showers, there are 2 smaller showers and then 2 larger showers. The larger showers are set up for handicap accessibility. There's a little folding like stool. There's also a hand wand, so that way you can pull a wheelchair in and you got the hand wand to be able to, you know, wash off with or whatnot. Again, I'm not an expert when it comes to that. I don't know what to look for when it comes to that. Any questions, please ask the state park rangers. So as I walk back to the site, I just want to give my overall thoughts when it comes to my stay here. I've actually really enjoyed staying at this park. I wasn't sure at first when I got here. And the reason is, and this is where I'm going to talk about my first experience walking into that cabin. I opened the door and all I could smell was bleach. Now that's actually a good thing, because it shows that they are disinfecting these cabins, right? They had come in, they disinfected the cabin. However, that smell was just, whew. So what I did is, very close by, like literally half a mile down the street, is a food line. I went over to the food line and I picked up one of those little air fresheners that cost $1. I just popped that open, I put it in the room, and probably within an hour or so, it made a big difference, right? I'm sure the rooms probably would air out a little bit on their own, but I just put that in there, called it a day. That made a big difference, so that helped quite a bit. You know, for me, when I'm coming and staying at the woods, you know, I don't want to smell something that smells institutional. I want to smell the woods. So that's why I was like, let me go get an air freshener, let me pop an air freshener in there. And it made a world of difference. It cost me $1. Other thoughts. So I noticed after, you know, I'd been here for, you know, stayed overnight, woke up the next day, and I started looking at my feet, and they were filthy. And I was trying to figure out, you know, how did they get so dirty? You know, when I'm around camp, I do wear Crocs. So I'm like, well, maybe Crocs just got, you know, the dirt got in my Crocs or whatnot. But also, one thing about my Crocs is I've got the made for work anti-slip Crocs. And right in front of the cabin, there's this black dirt. And what was happening was that black dirt was getting into the anti-slip part, and I was tracking it in. But it wasn't, I guess, enough to really be too visible. So it didn't look like I was walking into tons of dirt. So I had some wet wipes that I used to clean my feet off with. And then I started utilizing the doormat to make sure to really knock that off pretty good. And that made a big difference. I also tried to make sure I kept my Crocs on while I was in the cabin. And I didn't have another problem after that. So everything worked out pretty well. So that was just one experience I had. Overall, it's been a really nice day. I really enjoyed it out here. When you go to check in, when you first pull into the park, you're going to see a sign that says check in at the marina store. To get to the marina store, you literally have to drive all the way down to the end. So the first thing that you're going to see when you're driving into the park area is you're going to see a it's the park ranger office is over on the right. So you're going to bypass that. You're going to keep going down. You're going to go past the campground entrance. You're going to go past the little picnic entrance, and then you're going to see the marina. And it's very clear when you see the marina, you know you're there. You'll see the boats. You just park right there, go into the store, and that's where you check in at. When it comes to checkout, if you've got a regular tent site, you just leave. Checkout time is, I believe they told me, about 1 o'clock each day. If you have a cabin, you need to go drop your key back off at the marina store. I was told the marina store opens at 8 o'clock. They did tell me if I needed to leave before the store opened, that I could just leave the key on the bed and lock the door. I do recommend, if you plan on doing that, double check with them first before you do it. Don't take my word for it. You know, get the official word, make sure it's okay for you to leave the key on the bed. You know, maybe even let them know, hey, I plan on leaving before the store opens. That way you've announced it. So anyway, I really enjoyed this day. One last thing real quick. So check-in time, it says check-in time's at 4. So one thing also that I had noticed on the reservation site was there was a little snippet there, and it mentioned, you know, if you're looking to check in early, you can give a call. So if no one was staying in the cabin the day before, they'll pretty much let you check in just about whenever. Still get the word from them, still call them ahead of time and verify, you know, did someone stay there the night before? Are you able to check in early? If not, check-in's at 4 o'clock. Now for me, I had called, and you know, someone had stayed in this cabin the night before, but they told me there was still a possibility I could check in early. What they told me was, you know, to call back around 2 o'clock. That normally, I think, like checkout time's 1 o'clock, and normally that's when they start making the rounds to clean everything up. They said call back sometime after 2, and you know, they weren't busy right now, so they said it might be done. I ended up calling around 2:30, and they said, yep, they're done, you can come check in. So I drove down here. So even though, you know, 4 o'clock, especially right now where the days are shorter, that can be kind of a late check-in. Just give them a call. They've been very accommodating. Everyone I've worked with here has been really nice. It's always a pleasure to work with any park ranger I've ever met at any state park in North Carolina. Have really been awesome to work with. So anyway, this is where I stayed. This is Carolina Beach State Park. I hope you enjoyed this video. If there's anything you'd like to see in future state park videos like this, please let me know, and I'll do the best I can to accommodate or answer any questions that I've not already covered here. As always, thanks for watching, and thanks for being awesome. Bye.